Okay, guys, now let's get one thing straight. Ter Stegen was definitely playing against Barca tonight, bro. Like, those errors that he made, there were schoolboy errors because a goalkeeper for a top-level European team, which is what Barca are aiming to be. Unfortunately, even though we are trying, we are not really a top-level European team at the moment with the way we've been performing in Europe over the past few years, guys. So right now, where we aim to be with a goalkeeper with the performances that Ter Stegen has been putting out over the years, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to attain the height that we wish to attain, because what was that disaster class that Ter Stegen put out there tonight against Monaco? Ter Stegen was the architect of Barca's downfall. Well, first of all, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to put the whole blame of the defeat in Monaco on Ter Stegen's shoulders, but he contributed a very, very big part in our defeat against Monaco tonight, guys, because he was the one that scattered the game plan right from the onset with his poor decision making and his poor performance. His performance today was really, really erratic from start to finish. Although he made a very decent save in the second half from Balogun at some point in the game, but on the whole, Ter Stegen's performance today, it is totally unacceptable. Barca cannot rely on a goalkeeper with the performance levels of Ter Stegen, because I want to know that he is very talented, but he has not been bringing the best version of himself for the past few years, guys, because as opposed to when Bravo was still at the club and when Jasper Cillessen was still at the club, there was competition for Ter Stegen. Back then, we saw Ter Stegen putting in some really superhuman performances. But right now, what we have been seeing over the years and what we saw last night or what we saw tonight in Monaco was a disaster class. And it is becoming the norm of what Ter Stegen delivers on the big stages in Europe. On the big nights in European football, Ter Stegen fails to stand up and fails to be a hero for Barca, and repeatedly we have come to see that again. I really feel bad for Eric Garcia because it was his first start of the season, and who knows what a performance he would have put today. He could have played badly or he could have played an excellent game on the night, but sadly, we can't even know that right now because he didn't even have the opportunity to stake a claim for a place in that midfield. Well, obviously, the injury to Dani Olmo and the injury to Fermin Lopez, of course, afforded him that opportunity to get the start tonight. But Ter Stegen took it away from Eric Garcia, guys, because that error he did, he gave the ball away just in front of the penalty area. It was very clear. Even a child would know that that pass, it was the wrong option, because Ter Stegen had options, bro. Ter Stegen had options. He had players open on both sides of the pitch. Yet Ter Stegen made the very complicated pass to Eric Garcia. And unfortunately, Eric Garcia had to be the fall guy here because he had to foul Minamino just in front of the penalty area. And I was even really surprised when I saw the referee first put out a yellow card. But later on, it was confirmed to be a direct red card, and it was very much the correct decision from the referee. Of course, it was a clear goal scoring opportunity. So you left the referee with little to no choice than to give the red card. And that was what he did. And it was all Ter Stegen's making, guys. And this single incident has cost us this game tonight because, of course, a lot of people would say that whether it was 10 against 11 or whether Barca were still complete on the pitch, Monaco would have still won anyway. That is very possible that Monaco would have still won the game regardless. But you cannot take away the fact that the red card at that early stage of the game was a major contributing factor to Barca's defeat tonight in France. That is just the simple truth of the whole matter, and Ter Stegen is the architect of Barca's downfall tonight, guys, because even after that error, credit to the boys, they kept their heads high. They tried to get back into the game through that brilliant goal from Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal, congratulations to him. I think he's beginning to add a few more goals to his game. I've always felt like Lamine Yamal needed to score more goals, but of course, we already know about his great playmaking abilities. He has been creating some really, really great chances for his teammates in the last few months. But right now, from the game against Girona at the weekend and tonight's game against Monaco, it seems like Lamine Yamal is also prioritizing the goal scoring aspect of things. And that is exactly what he did on 28 minutes to bring Barca back into the game, level at 1-1 and going into the halftime break at 1-1 as well. But that was just as good as it got for Barca because Monaco, they played better than us tonight. And it could be attributed to the fact that for the most part, we were competing against a very good Monaco team, mind you, because I have to give a lot of credit to Monaco here, because that team is ridiculously good. Monaco is ridiculously good, and they played really well tonight. They did a very good job. They were in control for large spells of the game. Barca had their moments, of course, we had our moments, but on the most part, it is fair to say that they deserved their victory fully. They deserve to win the game tonight. But unfortunately, Ter Stegen's error cost us tonight. And even after that error, we were pegged back and Barca considered the opening goal. Eventually, as the game wore on, Ter Stegen was even really unconvincing with his saves, bro. Ter Stegen was not filling us, most of the Barca fans watching the game tonight, with a lot of confidence, because even his claims, his punches, his catches, they were very much unconvincing, and you could tell that this was a goalkeeper that wasn't really sure of the level that he is playing at. And this is something that Barca really needs to address, because Ter Stegen's form has been fading over the last few years, and Barca, of course, we know about the well-publicized financial issues, but Barca haven't really done much when it comes to providing competition for Ter Stegen. For instance, you see what Liverpool did over the summer. They signed Mamardashvili from Valencia, even though he's still on loan at Valencia at this point in time. But with the performances that Alisson has been given, Liverpool still saw the need to go out and sign Mamardashvili ahead of next season, and he's definitely going to provide competition for Alisson. When Alisson has that knowledge that Mamardashvili is coming, he definitely has to up his game when he knows that he wants to remain at Liverpool. That is something that Barca has failed to do with Ter Stegen. It seems like Ter Stegen feels very comfortable as the Barca number one. He knows that regardless of the performance that he puts in, week out, he's still also going to start games week in, week out, and that is something that has cost us here, guys. But on the whole, guys, I really want to say that Barca, they did a decent job tonight. Of course, it wasn't great, because it would be really over the top for me to praise it as a great performance after losing the game. We didn't really impress like we have done in our previous games in La Liga, but I saw the response from the boys after going down a man and also going down a goal. Barca did not really bury their heads. Barca kept fighting, they kept pushing. We were able to get the goal back through Yamal, of course, individual quality right there on display. But you could see that Barca were really trying to get in the game. They didn't lose belief simply because they had a red card, as opposed to what we saw last season against PSG after the Araujo red card. Barca imploded and allowed PSG back into the game, but that wasn't the case tonight, guys. Even though we ended up losing the game, that was certainly not the case tonight, because Barca still really looked very much like they were in the game till the end of the game. Barca were very much in the game till the end of the game. Although we considered against the run of play in the second half, of course, the Monaco substitute running in behind the defense. Of course, we kept a brave high line even after going one man down and a goal down. Barca never changed the approach, guys. Hansi Flick kept it brave, and Barca were still playing very high up the pitch. And of course, it was eventually our undoing, but it could very much have won us the game as well. That is the possibilities that the new system that we are playing brings to you, guys, because we were still very much in the game, and we would have very much been worthy winners if we ended up winning the game. But unfortunately, in the Champions League, these key moments matter, and that key moment, it was very much what mattered for Monaco, because they capitalized on that key moment. It was Barca that were attacking, but unfortunately, we lost the ball. They had the counter attack and they scored. Long ball over the top. Martinez, he tried his best to recover, but unfortunately, he couldn't recover, and Monaco took the lead again. I know, credit to the Monaco striker, it was really a powerful effort from him. But when you watch it back and watch the replay back, it brings us back to the level that Ter Stegen is playing at right now, because it could easily have been a save from Ter Stegen. It was a powerful shot, no doubt about that, but it ended up coming directly where Ter Stegen was diving. But unfortunately, Ter Stegen still failed to save it. So this is not a goalkeeper that your defenders will have a lot of confidence that when things go south, he will be there to bail them out. And this is what Courtois has been doing for Real Madrid. This is what Oblak has been doing for Atletico. But unfortunately, like I have said before previously on this channel, that is something that Ter Stegen is not doing for Barca at this point in time. And great teams, they always have great goalkeepers, mind you. A great team that wants to win the biggest titles, you would have a goalkeeper that you can depend on in key moments of the game. Unfortunately, that is not something that Barca has right now. The new Champions League format is on the way, and we have been handed a reality check, guys, because after 5 consecutive wins in La Liga, 15 maximum points gotten, and sitting at the top of the table, the Champions League has given us a reality check. Well, obviously, our record, especially away from home in the Champions League over the recent years, has not really been the best. But once again, that negative trend has continued. Unfortunately, that is not the only negative trend that has continued for us tonight, because last season against PSG, when we were knocked out at home, we also had a red card, that famous red card for Ronald Araujo, and that trend has continued tonight. Once again, against French opposition again, we had an early red card. Eric Garcia on this occasion was sent off. And this is a trend that Barca really needs to work on, because you cannot afford to be giving yourself a disadvantage in these key European games, guys. We always have to be on top of every situation in these key European games, because these little vital details, eventually they become very decisive in the end. And we saw all of that tonight against Monaco, because eventually we lost the game. Well, it is not to say that we would definitely have won if we were playing 11 against 11, but that would have been a possibility for us, and that would have been a stronger possibility for us, a stronger competitive ground for us if we had completed the game with 11 men. Anything could have happened. We could still have lost. I'm not disputing that fact, but we could have given ourselves a better chance to compete effectively and ultimately win the game. Well, the new Champions League group stage phase is on the way, and we have started negatively, and it is very scary. It is worrisome, to say the least, because our next opposition is going to be Bayern Munich. And of course, we all saw what Bayern Munich did on Tuesday. They won their game 9-2. And of course, we are not strangers to these high-scoring games that Bayern Munich can have, because remember, we were also on the receiving end of their ruthlessness in 2020 during the COVID year, when they trashed us 8-2. The famous 8-2 in Lisbon, it still lingers in Barca fans' memory, bro. It still lingers in the memory of all coolers around the world. And that is something that we are going to revisit when we return to Champions League action once again, because our next game is going to be against Bayern Munich at home. This time around, we are going to be playing at the Montjuic, because of course we all know that the Camp Nou is still under reconstruction and it is not open yet. So definitely we can't play there. So we are going to still play at the Montjuic, and Bayern will be visiting the Montjuic. This time around, Barca have to respond, and we are going to see the response that the boys put in, because if we want to stand a chance of making the next stages of the Champions League, very soon we have to start winning games in this new group stage, group phase game. But once again, I want to say congratulations to Lamine Yamal for his goal, which was his first ever Champions League goal in his career, and also makes him the second youngest goal scorer in the history of the Champions League, after another Barca player, Hansi Flick, who incidentally made his long-awaited return from injury tonight. He came on as a substitute in the second half in place of Alejandro Balde, and I'm really happy to see that Hansi Flick is back, and I hope that he stays fit and also begins to regain some sort of form and return to the player that he was, the player that we all knew and we all loved before. So I'm really happy to see that Hansi Flick is back. But back to Lamine Yamal, congratulations to him, guys. He is the second youngest goal scorer in the history of the Champions League. At 17 years old, 68 days, just behind Hansi Flick, who achieved the feat at 17 years old and 40 days. So that is a piece of history for Barca once again, and it's a rare positive on a generally negative night for us, guys. This is our first defeat of the season, and I really don't want to blame the rest of the team too much, because of course with the red card and with the conditions that we competed, it was really difficult to see that the team would really give 100% of their potential, because it was really difficult from a very early stage in the game. Around 11 minutes, we were already down to 10 men. So it was really difficult to really assess the performance of the players. But most of the players, their performances were decent. Big shout out to Inigo Martinez and Pau Kubasi once again. Their blossoming partnership at center half, it continued once again tonight, because even though we lost, they gave a good account of themselves. The rest of the team, they played decent. Lewandowski, he wasn't really in the game, but it was a difficult game because of the red card. There was a lot of space in the middle, and he had to drop back so many times in order to receive the ball. His hold-up play could have been better, but it was a difficult night. The rest of the players, Rafinha, he tried. Despite his best effort, it was really difficult to leave an imprint on the game. But he tried his best. Regardless of the limitations, he tried his best. But unfortunately, let's just say that it wasn't our night tonight, because credit to Monaco, they deserved the win, but we could have helped ourselves better in these conditions tonight. So we have lost the first game of the season after 5 consecutive games in the league. So the league campaign continues on a positive note, but the Champions League campaign has started on a sour note for us Barca fans, guys. And the team really needs to react to this defeat and this performance tonight, because if we want to continue our journey in the Champions League. Before the game, Hansi Flick was saying that he believes that Barca can actually compete and win the Champions League this season. Personally, I believe that we are always in the question when it comes to one of the potential winners of the Champions League, even though over the last few years our form has been really disastrous on the European stage. But we are Barca and we can always compete if we do things right. So I am not writing off our chances just yet, just because we lost tonight against Monaco. No, guys, I am still confident that if Barca can go back to the drawing board, get things right, and even starting with that game against Bayern, that is an ultimate test for us, guys, because we know that Bayern has been our nemesis in Europe in recent years. So if we can get a decent result against Bayern, it is going to be a confidence boosting win for us, guys. So let's see how the team reacts in the next game. Of course, league action returns this weekend, but talking about the Champions League, our next opponent is going to be Bayern Munich, and we have to be fully ready for that, because if the Monaco game was difficult, the Bayern game is going to be even more difficult, guys. So that is it for tonight, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. What do you make of Barca's performance tonight in the Champions League? What is your opinion about the performance levels of Marc-Andre Ter Stegen? And do you feel like Barca should sign a competition for Marc-Andre Ter Stegen? And if Barca were to sign a competition for Ter Stegen, who would you prefer that Barca signs to provide competition or eventually replace Marc-Andre Ter Stegen between the sticks? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. And if it's your first time watching on the channel, please do make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss future content when we drop on the channel. Thank you so much for your great support, and I'll see you on the next video. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça. Adios.